Want to fall for fake acts from other people, then that's on them. Gullible bitch.
You're my fave.
You're mine. You make me so happy.
I'm glad that I met you. I'm glad that we
made it.
Yeah.
Jess's mask has fallen. Completely. There's nothing her dad will do or say that will ever help her repair this. Because ITV could have chosen not to show that bit where she was being very sort of disrespectful to the viewers. But they decided to air her out. Because in my opinion, I have a feeling Jess came onto the show wanting to remove herself from the stain that she was carrying as a result of her living with Joey Essex. Because she could, at that time, she could blame her bad behavior on him. This time, it all falls squarely on her shoulders. The audacity to say we're gullible or not, it doesn't matter. Why didn't you make us gullible? Your tears we did not conform to your tears when you're crying after you were told that we don't like you. Now that you know that we're not conforming to your tears and we've decided to kick you out of the fella, you're now sort of calling us gullible. If we're gullible, amazing. For her to go and sit on that couch and sort of be that disrespectful. She's a very pretty girl, but the reason why, in my opinion, she struggled is because the guys see the inner side of her, and they would rather not. They would rather, no matter how pretty she is, because by the end of that interview, you could see Tommy was moving to the side, and it's like, well, you lost him. And then, oh my God, I really love the dates. I really thought they were cute. To whoever from ITV watches my channel, I need credit. I'm not saying I want to be on your podcast. You can advertise my channel. I'm open to it because there are a couple of things I've said on my channel that I've seen happening on that show. So I love that the girls arrange the dates. I've always said, why is it the boys are always doing stuff for the girls? So I love that the girls arrange the dates. I thought they were very sweet and very sentimental. The one I didn't understand was the Harrison date. I thought that was more about Belle than Harrison. Anyway, I digress. Hey there, thanks for stopping by. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. Click the like button, turn on the notification bell for when I upload new videos, and definitely leave a comment. In this episode, I'll be reviewing Love Island All Stars, Season 3, Episode 33. Okay, sorry, I had to digress there for a minute. I couldn't stop myself. I was running like amazing. Anyway, so you have the phone calls continue. Sean comes out, he tells the guys about his conversation with his sister. He says, he wants to apologize for the way he treated Tommy. His sister's just reminded him that Tommy's one of his closest friends, and so, he shouldn't have treated him like that. He said his family is proud of him, and they love him and listened as a couple. What are they going to say? No family is going to come up there and say, we do not like your partner. Outside of Kieran's mum. Kieran's mum was very minimalistic with whatever she said, unless it was just the edit. I don't think she likes Sammy. I don't think she likes the fact that Sammy has been involved in the drama that she's been involved in. And so this is why I think she was very minimal with her sort of response. Next up, we had Harrison. He sat down with his mum, and then his sister came on camera with his stepdad, his sister Rebecca, and they said they're proud of him. They said he brought a sense of calm. Harrison is very mischievous, so wherever he is, he brings the mischief with him, and so that eases the tension. I can understand the family saying, he brought calm to the fella. He said, he likes Belle. What do they think? The sister really loves Belle. She's a fan. And they were saying that, she possesses the qualities that he wants in a partner. And he was hoping that show would show a different side of him. And he hopes this has happened. Do I think so? I don't think Harrison had enough time. I really don't think he had enough time. They should have swapped someone out, someone like Tommy. Tommy didn't need to be part of the OG cast. They could have put in Harrison. Then we would have seen him to his fullest, because the more comfortable he becomes, the more unleashed he becomes. And so, yes, we saw a different side, but that's because he didn't have enough time to act out. They spoke about the fact that, he's brought a sense of calm to Belle, and that, the hurricane is sort of under wraps at the moment. I don't get why we're sort of, going on about this. I think it's nothing to brag about. Yes, we had Hoda in the USA one. This shouldn't be a tag that people are proud to sort of install or bestow against themselves. Harrison cried. I think all the guys, after seeing Scott come out crying, everyone was now putting on a performance of crying. That's the impression that I get. The difference is, with Scott's sister, I'll still maintain Steph had the most well-organized sort of video call, because she had her things, I think, laid out in a way that she gave her feedback, she gave the mom's feedback, she gave the friends feedback, and she sort of answered any questions, whereas everyone was all over the place, and this is why we're struggling. Harrison then came out and told the guys that, you know, he saw his mom, his stepdad, and his sister, and he was very proud because he faced a lot of backlash after the summer season. So he's happy that they were able to be proud of him and see a different side. Do I think we've seen a different side? No. Next up was Zach. Zach went and spoke to his mom, Kelly. They were saying, you know, I miss your daily calls. And they were saying that, you know, his experience on Love Island UK is different from Love Island USA. Well, he came in as a bombshell in Casa, yes. He didn't get any airtime. At least this time he's getting airtime because someone in production loves Millie. And Millie is always with him. And that's the impression that I get. Looking at his mom, she gives me Millie vibes. That's why I get when she says, I really love Millie. She said, you know, there was a lot of chemistry when Millie and Zach kissed the first time. And it's like, oh, this mom, she said it was too passionate. And she was saying that at the moment, she loves seeing him on TV because that's all the family talk about. They talk about him and being on TV and being on the show. So he then said to his mom, you know, book a ticket to come to the UK. And it's like, Zach, something is a bit off. Or maybe I'm still caught up on Zach with a K saying that Zach with a C came in with the strategy and the strategy was working. He fed back to the guys. The guys were excited for him. He made this theatrical performance. Oh, my mom, this, my mom. At least he didn't pretend to cry. I have to give him credit for that. At least he didn't pretend to cry. So, hey. Lastly was Yemen. Yemen spoke to Yemen Senior, and he was surprised to see his dad there. And so the dad said, you know, I wanted to come in and see and just check out and see how they're treating you. And it's like, well, you saw your son walking around with a whole saucepan of bangers and mash. What do you think? The dad said, you know, they were a great couple. Yemen said, you know, Whitney reminds him of his mom. And so they were perfect. According to the family, they are perfect together. The dad asked if Whitney can cook, and Yemen said, yes, she makes amazing grilled cheese. And so the family wants to meet Whitney. They're very excited to meet Whitney. I think Whitney needs a bit of polishing before she goes to meet the family, before she says does something that's a bit off and sort of puts them off, especially if he's very serious about her. That is something that they might need to do. Yemen goes to sort of debrief the guys and he's telling them, I spoke to my dad. And it was later in the evening. I don't know whether it's because of the time difference. This is why Yemen was the last person to speak, because his dad is in LA and I don't remember the time difference between LA and South Africa. But anyway, so he cried, Yemen, and he was saying, you know, my dad is very supportive. He's an amazing dad. And the fact that he's proud of me, I really love that. So that was interesting. So you have the girls come back. When they come back, the guys are excited to sort of tell them about the calls. You had everyone excited to hear what had happened with their guys. People like Whitney were shocked when Yemen said he cried. And it was really cute to see people immediately in their couples. What I don't like is the fact that production is very selective in who they show us. There are couples that they're giving airtime that have no chemistry at all. And those with chemistry or those with the storyline, unless it's something that they feel will get them the airtime or will get them the clicks, they sort of hide them in the back. Scott and Leanne. Anyway, you have the islanders get ready for the night. And once they get ready, you have Tommy and Sean come out for a chat. They went on the terrace, and then you had Sean apologize to say, you know, you were my best friend in the villa. You were there during some of my toughest times. You really helped me. And so I feel bad that I snaked you, in the sense that he stole the partner one, and also the issue with the fact that he said he would dump Tommy. That's not a lie, though. Who else was he supposed to say would be dumped? Make it make sense. Tommy was open to the apology. The two of them said they wanted to work on their sort of a relationship and hopefully bring it back to what it originally was. I think it will take a lot because trust has been broken with the Lucinda situation. So it's going to take a lot for them to rebuild that. You have the girls go out and sort of prepare the areas, because every couple was given their own individual place. So you had the breakfast bar, you had the day beds, you had the bin bags, you had the sun. I don't remember who was on the sun. On the sun deck, I don't remember, but you had the big fire pit. The small fire pit, was there someone? Yeah, I think it was Whitney, actually. And then you had Leanne on the terrace. So it was really cute that the girls got to lay out their sort of a place for them to sit with their guy. One thing I'm going to say is, whoever from Love Island watches my show, give me views, please. Give me subscribers, because at the end of the day, there are things that I've talked about on my channel that I've seen. I was hypercritical of the morning debriefs, and now they are very rare and far in between. I criticized the fact that, you know, the girls are always sitting there and the guys are always running around after them. And suddenly, for the first time, we've had the girls make breakfast for the guys in the middle of the season, not at the end of the season, in the middle of the season. Now we're having the girls sort of set up this scenario. I love it. I really do. So the girls laid out, you know, their place for them and their guys, and it was the sweetest thing ever. And so the guys then came out, picked up their drinks, and then had to go to their individual places to sit with their girls, which was sweet and amazing. You had Scott come onto the terrace. He was excited. He really was excited. So he went to the terrace with Leanne. That's their place, because last time he was saying he wanted to change it from a negative, you know, area to a positive, because that's where Leanne refused to take him back. And then eventually, once they got back together, that's where they decided to be exclusive. So I love that they had this little date of theirs up there. You had Leanne give him presents. So she bought him a bucket hat. I saw those sort of fedora sort of hats, and then I was thinking maybe they told him to get him a goofy hat, or maybe the budget wouldn't allow. But I think this hat, it looks okay. It looks okay. I think he just needs to remove that little strap around the neck. He's not that old to be having, you know, one of those strappy hats. But it was really cute. She also bought some fortune cookies. He loved it. The way he appreciated it, irregardless of how silly it was interesting for me, and I was like, oh, this man is in love. So when he opened the fortune cookie, he saw one that said, I appreciate you. He was very happy about it. They had a conversation, obviously, about his phone call and the fact that he spoke to, you know, his sister, and his sister said, you know, she likes Leanne, she really loves Leanne, and from the moment she saw them together, she loved Leanne for him. Leanne was excited. Oh, she was so giddy, she was so happy, and she said to him, you know, take me to Wales, because now she knows the family is willing and they really like her. It makes it easier for her to go, because there are a lot of challenges in the sense that you're not sure that because I'm of a different race, will they accept me? Am I what they're expecting? And so for the family to be cheering for her, I love this for Leanne. I really love it. Scott on his part was excited. Scott is in love. He's happy. As long as Leanne is happy, he's happy. So I really love that. You had Belle and Harrison. Belle and Harrison, their date was more for Belle than for Harrison. She bought cookies, different types of cookies. She bought lips, apparently to represent her lip combo. She bought this sort of thing that looked like a wagon wheel, or an Oreo, a big one. She said, I love it. It's got marshmallows, so you will love it because you always love whatever I want. And then she bought other cookies that look like chocolate chip cookies. And for me, I don't know. I think they're just going through the process, because she wants to get to the finale. So they're just going to go through the process until they get to the very end. You had Harrison say, you know, my family was happy that I'm coupled up with you. They said you've had hard times and I seem to have helped you sort of overcome that. Do I think so? I think he's distracted from whatever was going on. He's distracted from whatever chaos and toxicity was going on, the hurricane, the fact that she has to focus on him, so she can't sort of lash out at Scott or Sean. That's what he saved her on. He did say that his sister loved Belle, and Belle was excited because, you know, Whitney and Yemen. Whitney. Well, there was this thing about mangoes last time, so I guess they know the inside joke. So she bought an actual mango for Yemen, and she said, you know, there's no GMO, there's whatever, it's an organic mango here for you. And then she gave him a stuffed dog. He wasn't too keen on the dog. He really wasn't too keen on the dog. She did take pictures of him, and he just went through the motions, I think just because he knows he has to do it for the show. But otherwise, I think if he had his way, he would have said no. He did tell her that his family thought they were a good fit, and, you know, they want to meet her. You had Whitney be excited about that. I don't know. I don't know Yemen. I don't know him from his season, so I'll take it with a grain of salt and just say that's the truth. You had Zach and Millie. Millie gave Zach some. They were at the fire pit, so she gave Zach some flowers, and then she gave him a bracelet that matched hers, and they were different colors. Zach, for me, is a bit too laid back for my liking. It makes me question, is that who he is all the time? Because I don't remember him on the USA version. So I don't know whether this is him or whether he's just going through the motions. He did say his mom really likes them as a couple. He did say that, you know, she's happy, and he's told his mom to book a flight to come to the UK to meet, you know, Millie. I question that couple. I really do. I know they've flown under the radar because there's been a lot more going on, but we barely got to see their journey, so I don't quite understand what's going on there. I know he gave his rationale for wanting to be tempted by Jessie, but I still don't think that's enough. I think there's way more we needed to find out about them as a couple, but sadly, we were not told. You had Sammy and Kieran. Sammy and Kieran, I don't quite remember what Sammy got for Kieran, really. I don't remember. What did she get Kieran? I didn't write it down. Well, she got him something. I don't remember. I think she got him flowers and something else. I don't remember what the second thing was. For me, Sammy and Kieran... Oh, yeah, she got him a cap. She got him a cap. The cap was okay. It didn't suit his head. It was too big for his head, but she got him a cap. And so they were talking, and Kieran was saying, my mom said we're well suited, we complement each other. I hear the words, but I don't think his mom likes Sammy for him. I think she likes that Sammy's more peaceful when it comes to Kieran as compared to Nicole. Nicole, all her wrath was always targeted on, Kieran. So I think that's what she likes. But as a person, given some of the traits that we've all seen, I think the mom has questions. You had Jesse and Tommy. They were on the sun deck. It was very forced. I didn't like that date. And I feel sorry for Tommy that not only is he going on a date with someone who doesn't like him, he's going on a date with someone he cannot relate to because they're older than him. And it's really sad that this is where he is. He sort of asked her you said my family likes you, they say we're a good couple. And she was making these faces, sort of just knowing that she doesn't think it's true. And we all know it's not true. No one would want their loved one to be with someone who behaves the way Jessie Potts behaves. So sadly, I don't know her. The bits of her that I've seen, not a fan. Really not a fan. Sean and Lucinda were on the bin bags. Lucinda had really set it up and it looked cute. It really looked cute. I don't know whether people played rock, paper, scissors or they tossed a coin and you were allocated or they just picked random names. Anyway, the date was in true Lucinda and Sean fashion. Sean was feeding back that his sister really likes them as a couple. They're very happy for them and they're really cute. The present, I think, was sweet, if I'm not mistaken. And I don't know. I really am sort of in a spot whereby I don't quite understand them as a couple, Lucinda and Sean. I think they feed off each other's nonsense and they know this is the only way they can make money. So they've decided to sort of play into personas that the viewers are likely to become emotionally invested in. You then have the couples just sit back and just relax. And while they sat back and relaxed, you had Millie receive a message to say, Islanders, the public have been voting for their most compatible couple. Sean was then given the task of announcing who was dumped. And sadly, it was Tommy and Jess. I don't feel sorry for Jess, but I feel sorry for Tommy. And so you could tell Jess wasn't happy. She wasn't happy. And it's like, why are you unhappy? You are in a couple whereby it's not even a friendship couple. I don't even know. You're acquaintances at work. You're in an acquaintance couple. So please take several seats. Jess was upset. She really sort of went off and started packing her stuff. So she packed her stuff. You had Sean pack his stuff. The girls were saying goodbye to Jess and she seemed to be in a very happy space. Then she went aside with Belle and she started making these comments. And I was side-eyeing her because at the end of the day, she must be very comfortable with Belle, or they must have been saying some of the baddest or worst things about the other islanders with Belle, and this is why she felt comfortable enough to open her top and bottom lip and say what she did, because she said, I don't care if they want to be gullible and feed on this persona that someone is putting on. And it's like, buddy, you put on a persona. Sadly, we didn't buy yours. Everybody's a persona. So if you are not able to sell your persona, then sit down. Sit down. People that came here and were genuinely themselves from day one to the last day will walk out the victors. Jess, in my opinion, came onto the show thinking that she could wash off the stain of being in a couple with Joey Essex. Sadly, this backfired because the viewers were able to see through her every time her mask slipped. So once Jesse and Tommy had packed their stuff, they stood by the door to say goodbye. And as they were saying goodbye, I am side-eyeing production because how come we didn't get to hear Leanne say anything about Tommy, be it nice or bad or whatever? Because they shared a bed for almost 2 weeks. she's the person who's shared a bed the longest in the villa. And for producers or editors to not show us anything or an interaction between the two of them, I don't buy it. I don't understand it. For production to not show us an interview of Leanne speaking highly of this man, I don't get it. You could see her in the background watching him leave, because this is someone she's been in very close quarters with for a very long time. But I wish we'd heard something she had to say. I always believed that Leanne was kept in a bed with Tommy, one, to save Tommy, and two, because Scott felt that that was the place he was most comfortable for her to stay if she wasn't going to be in his bed. Because I feel like his couple with Cher was extended, but I have a feeling Scott must have said, if you're going to extend my time, then Leanne needs to stay with Tommy, because Tommy wasn't a threat. That's the impression that I get. I'm putting it out there. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Anyway, you had Jess and Tommy sit down for an interview. And the more they spoke, the more, if you look at Tommy's body language, the more it changed. Because they were asked, how was it? How was your time in the villa? Tommy said, I had an amazing time. I really had an amazing time, but I think it was time for me to go home. And so I missed my family and I was ready to go home. And he was sitting in the middle of the couch with his arms on either side, very close to Jess. And then Jess was asked, how do you feel about your time in the villa? The more Jess talked negatively about the girls in the villa, especially Lucinda, the more he sort of moved to the side, away from her. And so it's really sad that Jess, she doesn't have a character or anything that stands out about her. I think her comments came from a malicious place. I feel like her comments came from envy, because for her to say Lucinda's two-faced, I've seen who she is and how she behaves, and it's like, madam, you're sitting there, you're bad-mouthing someone as part of your exit interview. Does that show you as a good person? Does that really show you as a good person? Because she was asked what happened, with Lucinda. We were signed to the same label. You came onto Lucinda's label. Lucinda's marketing company was already with her before you signed on with them. And so the idea that you signed on expecting to have the same career trajectory as Lucinda and didn't get it, and suddenly now Lucinda is the villain, why didn't you give us examples? Why didn't you give us examples? I feel like Jess, every time she finds herself backed into a corner, instead of answering the questions, she always throws Lucinda and sort of points, what about Lucinda? She did that when she was questioned about a couple with Tommy, and now she's done that exactly same thing when she was being interviewed. I didn't like it. I really didn't like it. It left a very sour taste in my mouth. But then at the end of the day, this is who she was in her season, so I'm not surprised. The Islanders got ready for the night and they went to bed. The sweet little conversation between Scott and Leanne, because they've been told to open up. And Leanne initially told us that her walls had gone up even higher after Scott did whatever nonsense he did in coupling up with Cher. So for her to sit there and them tell each other, you are my favorite person, I'm very happy I got to meet you, I'm very happy that I got to do this experience with you. I loved it. I loved it. It wasn't performative because she was hiding under the couch, and I don't think she expected anyone to hear her because the lights were still on. There was a lot of things going on. But for production to sort of drown out the noise and sort of play us that little sort of clip, I loved it. I think these are two people who are in love. They know they're in love. Whether they're saving it to say it away from the cameras or whatever they're planning on doing, I love it. Because they've both agreed that when they leave, Scott actually said, when I leave, I'm walking out with you. So whether they make it to the final or not, I love this for them. I really do, because I root for love. Anyway, everybody went to sleep. Those that are busy all night are always going to be busy, buzzing each other out. In the morning, obviously, the Islanders woke up. This is the first time they've had an empty bed in the villa, because at one point someone was having to sleep in the hideaway in order for everybody else to get a bed. So the idea that they actually have an empty bed is something they didn't expect. I have to say I love the fact that they kept Islanders on the show a lot longer than they normally would. I love that, because people got an opportunity to shine. If you didn't shine, then that's on you. It's nobody else's business. You then had a debrief with the guys and the girls. You had Whitney sitting on the sun deck with she was sitting with Sammy and Belle, and they were just talking about their couples and their dates. Anything stand out for me? No, because those couples are very questionable in the longevity of them, whether any one of the three of them will make it. Kieran and Sammy, I think Kieran is going to get fed up. Especially if Sammy continues to behave the way she behaved, in the sense that she wants to attach to somebody else's beef. Belle Harrison is moving on to his next conquest. Unless Belle brings him something that will financially benefit him, I don't see it. Whitney did speak about the fact that, she doesn't like that Yemen lives in Los Angeles. because when she's hopelessly in love with someone, she wants to see them all the time. So I think that is going to be the question of whether they'll survive the long distance. You had Sean sit with Kieran and Zach, and he was saying, he apologized to Tommy, so he's happy that they were able to resolve things before he left. I don't quite understand these three guys as well, because to me they don't make sense. I think the only person that I think has the probability of having a couple, maybe Zach, but I don't know. As I said before, Zach with the K's comment sits on my mind every time I think of him, because I always think maybe this is just a persona, or he's just sort of trying to wing it so that he can break up with Millie later. Hopefully Millie is protected at heart, because I don't see this long term with Kieran. Kieran is going to get fed up of Sammy. He's going to get fed up of Sammy, so it's only a matter of time. Then you had this little trio. You had Scott sitting on the sun deck he was sitting with Harrison and Yemen. He looked like he was forced to be there. He really looked like he was forced to be there. The guys were talking about their couples and how happy they were. Scott was saying, this is the best space that he and Leanne have been in. They're just obsessed with one another and just crazy about one another. And so he's happy that this is where they are and this is the space they're in. Yemen and Harrison obviously say their family approve of their couples and they can't wait to see what happens next. I am not buying it. Sadly, the only couple that I'm buying is Scott and Leanne, and maybe if I squeeze my eyes and close my ears, Zach and Millie. Those are the two couples that I think actually have something going. The rest of them, I think some of them are just there just to be on the show. You then have the girls on the mini fire pit. So you have Leanne, Lucinda, and Millie. And they were having a chat about their couples. And you have, Leanne say that, Scott told me his sister likes me. He said she loves me very much. And the girls were really happy for Leanne. And so Lucinda was asking, so are you guys ready to throw the L bomb? And it's like, I think Leanne and Scott are going to save it and do it in a private special moment for the two of them, unless they're pushed to do it on camera. I have a feeling they're going to save it and keep it and do it in private away from everybody else, which I love for them. Then you had Lucinda mocking Scott's cat, and it's like, seriously, leave him alone. I love the way, Leanne went to war for that. And went, no, he has washed it. It's just his lucky charm, so this is why he wears it. And it's like, we all have that item of clothing that we know it's tattered, but we still love it. And so we continue to wear it, regardless the holes, regardless, the tears and whatever, we continue to wear it, so I love it. Anyway, you then have, Kieran receive a message. All stars, the fate of your Love Island journey is now in the hands of some familiar faces. Please stand in front of the fire pit. Everyone went and stood on the fire pit, and then they brought the ex-islanders. I'm a bit nervous for Leanne and Scott. My problem is, if they take out Leanne and Scott, how many people are going to watch? Because Leanne and Scott have become the show. So they've become Leanne and Scott present Love Island for this season. And it's like, who will they have to attract people to come and watch? I don't think Sean and Lucinda would have that much of a pull, if we're being honest, because although they have a fan base, it's not as loud as Leanne and Scott. So my money, I'm hoping, if I'm right, that Leanne and Scott are going to make it. Sean and Lucinda might be saved. And then they might get Millie and Zach to make it to the top 4, and also get Whitney to make it. So it's either going to be Kieran and... I don't think Sammy has that many enemies, but if they wanted, they could dump either Kieran and Sammy, or they might dump Belle and what's his name, Harrison, just for the fun of it, unless they want to make a big splash. And I think because last time when they had Joey Essex and people were just voting him out, production have decided to make sure people write the names of the person they want to dump before they go out. That way you can't change your mind. Anyway, I'm keeping my fingers and my toes crossed for Leanne and Scott. I can't wait to see what happens on Sunday. Thanks guys for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe. Click on the link in my video to watch my review from episode 32. Bye guys.